So, I want to just take some time for us to remember, laugh, and hold dear some things that have come to us as we reflect on Chad's life and ministry here. As most of us know, Chad has been in hospice for a good 2 weeks, so many of us have begun our goodbyes. And that's what's such a blessing about hospice. In fact, the other day I got a phone call at 7 o'clock here at the church, 7 o'clock at night. And I was the only one here and I thought I'd better answer it. And it was someone asking for Chad. So I probed a little bit to find out who this was and what I would say to them, and because he had died that day. And turns out it was someone asking for his continued donations to Death with Dignity. And that organization has been so integral in making the hospice movement expand. And so I said, thank you to this unknown woman for the ministry that they're doing. And knowing that Chad was a contributor to that is no surprise. Chad was not afraid of death. Spiritually, of course, there's always the human who's holding on, and he did his work. And many of you got to be with him, tend to him, and give him your goodbyes and thank yous. And someone said, when he had his heart attack in 2006, it would have been worse because we didn't have a chance. We wouldn't, if he had passed, there would be no time to say goodbye. And I remember when my sister was dying of cancer, and the hospice nurse said to me, "Cancer is a blessing." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "Because the people like you get to say goodbye." Wow. From a hospice nurse's perspective, I could see what she meant. So we're grateful for that time. I'm also grateful for Facebook and the journal entries the entries that you all posted on the journal pages for Caring Bridge, because I've only known Chad for a year and a half. Some of you have known Chad for decades, and you got to see him in his prime and take it all in. And I was able to see that adoration, love, and respect come through the entries on Facebook. And so I'm going to light a candle, the first candle I'll just do it from the Christ candle, for the memories. Chad was a big personality. And I read one comment that said, Chad's presence was huge. His ever-ready smile with a playful quip will be with me for a long time to come. There is no separation in God, so I know he'll be a part of all we do in the future. Another, I will never forget that he had a Yoda doll in the sanctuary. And I love it myself. I just love it because Yoda has amazing lines to help us through our lives. I remember him teaching a workshop at Summer Connection. He was inspiring and hilarious at the same time. What a gift that is. My favorite was him picking his nose and getting a ew from the crowd and then saying, "That's judgment." Those were on the Facebook pages. And so true, it's so true. He never shrunk from an opportunity to help us see where we were in judgment. Never shrunk from the opportunity. I underlined that. Whether you invited it or not. So his message was clear. To live a life of joy. The text from the Gospel of John, I have come that you might have joy and have it fully. That was Chad's message. And he brought it to us through our tears, at the same time as our tears, in spite of our tears. He said, it's our choice to have joy. It's our choice. And so whatever's going on in our worlds, our choice is to say, am I going to let that affect me? Or am I going to take charge of where I put my thoughts? So as we light a flame to remember our memories, we just ask that they continue and to share. And we will be doing that over the next weeks. To realize that Chad was a unique, unrepeatable expression of God. And we got to experience that uniqueness. And we are blessed. But Chad would put it right back on you and say, you are a unique, unrepeatable expression of God. And don't waste that expression of God. Let it shine. Be all you can be. I light another candle for the community that Chad created. He came into this community 30 years ago, into a little church that, as he loved to share, was really concocted out of a house. And when he got to the interview, you know the story, he went to use the restroom and found that they had installed a urinal in the men's room, in the shower stall. Because you don't need a shower in a bathroom, you need a urinal in the men's room. He said, this is my home. I love this. He loved to think outside of the box. And he pushed that little building out and out until they could push out no more. And then this building was birthed. And so from a little living room, study group almost, size church, well, I don't know how many, 30, 40 people came to a church this size and growing. And we see that he has, when we witness, those of us who have witnessed the new member orientations and the new member dinners that Betsy and Joyce put on, is every time a new member would stand up and say why they came and why they stayed, it was because of Chad's unconditional love. Love, mentioned by every new member. Chad had a way of hugging you that you'd feel it in the core of your soul. Chad would hold on to that hug longer than you wanted him to, just to help you let go of some of your barriers. And that was good. Someone wrote, coming into Chad's church was like coming home. I felt completely accepted just as I am. His unconditional love helped me accept myself for who I am. It's good for us to come together this morning and celebrate that, because we know that we are love, and we've learned that from Chad, and hopefully from me and any other leader of the Unity movement. Love is the binding energy. It is the ultimate energy. And community comes through love. So Chad was an authentic man. You got what you got. And that's what real community is all about. So let's let Chad's memory continue in the form of us being authentic and continuing to grow this community with love as our basis. I also light a candle for the emotions that come with saying goodbye. And they are always mixed. Grief and joy, sadness and gratitude, all at the same time. And like I mentioned, let your joy be overflowing was so much of his theme. Another Facebook entry, an amazing, one-of-a-kind spiritual guide. There he goes, here he comes. It's all a matter of perception. You can feel the sadness and the joy, the grief and the peace in that statement. Happy journey to you, Chad O'Shea. Another wrote, a true servant has physically passed from our midst, but oh, the welcome home jubilation that can be heard on the other side. So there's that sadness with hope. And then this person continued, Chad, we will be eternally grateful for your unconditional love, your Irish wit, and the lessons on how to live our lives as near to our natural state of peace and contentment. Through, and there's that word I cannot say, lips. Right? Help me out. DJ Meslip. The blue sheet, if you've ever seen it, we'll make copies of it for you. I've seen it floating through papers in this building. The 10 blue mood makers that Chad wrote, things that help us get blue and how we can overcome our blue moods into peace and contentment. He said our natural state is peace. It is not angst. That is what he taught over and over and over again, mellowing the drama of our lives. So we feel that appreciation and joy for who he has been, while we also understand it's sad to say goodbye. Another person wrote, Chad taught me to be aware of my ego, the striking serpent. Absolutely. Watch your thoughts as you would watch a rattlesnake. If you walk up to a rattlesnake on a pathway, what would you do? You pay attention. You'd stop. You don't just say, ho hum, there's a snake, like you would a black snake, right? You step back. You say, I don't need you in my life. That's what we can do with some thoughts that pass through. Watch your thoughts like you'd watch a snake, a poisonous snake. So we realize that Chad's personality and his faith all mixed in together to make him a unique, a one-of-a-kind, crazy, loving man. Our teacher, even if we wanted him to zip his lips. Our mentor, and absolutely human, and he'd admit it, not a perfect man, but the most loving man that many of us have met. A real guy who will always live in our memories in our lives. And we're grateful for that. Someone else wrote, Chad's influence continues on into our larger world, for we are all woven into one tapestry. So it is. One of Chad's sermons that he had floating around had a handwritten thing on the bottom that says, and then how appropriate to read The Guest House after this sermon. So I will read that as we close. The Guest House is written by Rumi. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door, laughing, and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Are you willing to welcome the sadness and the joy, the clearing out and the filling up? That is a part of life. That is life in this human dimension. So we thank Chad. We welcome his memories, and we preserve his community that he created in this space and time. And we are grateful. Namaste.